Hey eBay sellers, it's Suzanne A. Wells, and today is June 10th, 2016, and we are on video number 117, and it's time for another shoe brand. This is an Italian brand called Bruno Magli, and it is Italian, so that's very exotic sounding. I actually cheated and went on YouTube and put in how to pronounce this word because I'd heard it so many different ways, Mali or Magli, but it's the G and the L are silent, so Magli. So you can sound very international when you are talking about this with your friends. So anyway, what is this? It is an Italian shoemaker that makes just exquisite shoes, and I learned about them when I was selling on Etsy a little bit and saw a lot of vintage styles. So I assumed it was a vintage thing, but they still make shoes now, and they're very high end. So let's just take a look at the history of the company, just so you'll know a little bit about them. It started in 1936, and Bruno and his siblings, Marino and Maria, began crafting women's shoes in a small basement in Bologna, Italy. So we move on up to 67, and they've expanded their commercial base and are growing into a successful footwear company, and they opened their first retail store in 1967. So this might be why this brand is associated with vintage, is because it came about, you know, almost 50 years ago. So there may be a lot more vintage ones out there than ones that are currently made. So they just continue to expand, and then they gained international appeal around 1980, and they opened over 40 retail stores throughout America, Australia, China, and Europe. So that's kind of the history of the vintage side of it. As far as what they offer now, we can look on their site. They do sell both men's and women's shoes that are, again, here's another brand that just looks like a basic shoe, right? But look at these prices: $425, $445, $650. And let's just sort these by the prices. Up over $600 for these finely made Italian shoes. So when you are going through the shoes at Goodwill, or you're at an estate sale, this is definitely one to put on your list to look for because they are so expensive. And we can take a look at, let's see, they don't have a whole lot. I don't know if they have women's shoes on. Here they are. Women's shoes coming soon. So don't even have them on there yet. So that's the current situation. If we go over to Etsy, where I was first introduced to this brand a few years ago when I had gotten into that, you can see they can sell for over $100 depending on what you have, but they definitely have a very vintage look. These, like, I can just see these on some of those old TV shows, the style, the colors. They definitely have vintage appeal. So you'll see a lot of them on Etsy listed as vintage. These right here, it's just, wow, really yellow. And people are into wearing this kind of thing. So the bright colors are desired by consumers. So don't let that prevent you from selling something just because you wouldn't wear it. Who cares? If you can sell it, that's what we're looking at here. So see if I can zoom in. This is what the logo is, basically this M in a little box, and then the company name, and then made in Italy. And one thing that you'll find with Italian made shoes is that they often come in very narrow widths, which are hard for people to find because if you've ever had a spouse or a child or anybody in your family that has narrow feet, they're going to tell you it's really hard for them to find shoes. So these Italian made shoes will often come in these narrow. My grandmother wore a quad A, which is very narrow. And, that's something in my history that, she always had these very fine Italian shoes. She was a socialite also in the day, so she had plenty of money to buy stuff like this. But she wore Ferragamos, which are another one that come in the very narrow widths. So just a little side note there, that wide and narrow sell very well because they are not as plentiful. They're harder to find, so they usually sell for higher prices and faster. So let's go over to eBay and see what we've got here. Let's look at the active listings before we look at the completeds to get an idea of what is out there. And I like to sort this by highest. And we're going to put in used, even though you may find these new or really close to new. I've noticed that with these higher end shoes, like at estate sales, for some reason, people who put a lot of money into their shoes are going to take better care of them. So I've found brand new shoes at estate sales before, so you never know what you're going to find. And by the way, this brand also makes handbags, so that may be another thing to look for, and they wouldn't really be faked because it's just not that mainstream of a brand. But you can see here that we've got a pair of shoes for $849 asking price. They make leather jackets. I bet they probably make a lot of leather goods, but we're just going to focus on the shoes in this video. So here's another pair of men's alligator shoes, ankle boots, women's boots. So you can see, all over the board the kind of things they make. So let's go to completeds, solds, and see what we've got. Okay, and we've got used selected there. So here's a pair that sold for $213. These funky green ones, green alligator loafers, sold for right at $200. Here's a refurbished. And also, that's something I want to note is on shoes, if it's a finely crafted, very expensive pair of shoes and the bottoms are worn, try to sell them anyway, because people can go and get those resold. And when you put this much money into a pair of shoes, having them resold is not that big of a deal. When you buy cheap shoes and the soles wear out, you basically just throw them away and go buy another pair. But when you've invested this kind of money in footwear and you have a size that's hard to find, then having them resold is not a big deal. Or you could actually make that investment yourself and have them resold and then sell them as this person did, as basically refurbished. So he had the soles put on. So anyway, those are the men's shoes. Let's just go take a look at women's. And we'll probably see some vintage looking styles in here. Here's just a very classic pair of pumps, and this might be, again, something that you would skip over if you were looking for shoes to sell, because it's very plain. It's classic. There's nothing super exciting about it. I mean, I think it's a beautiful pair of shoes, but sometimes people are just looking for athletic shoes, or they're just looking for boots. But if these are sitting right next to them and you know the brand, and this pair is $5 and you can sell it for $80, why wouldn't you? So that's why I do these videos, is to help you guys recognize more brands and have more things on your list that you can buy once you're in the thrift store. So let's go back and see if there's anything else to note here. Now see, these look vintage to me with the gold and brown. This has got the classic bow on it. And then there's some metallic crochet. These probably, I don't even know if they're not even leather. They're just a woven material. So here we got some funky looking red and tan ones, and those sold for $68. So very interesting looking pair of shoes there. but I can just see someone who's into vintage fashion wearing these. So that was a good find, whoever did that. Um, so that's the brand Bruno Magli, or Mali, depending on who you listen to. Just put that on your list of things to look for when you're out shopping. And also let me note that, how do you learn about all these different things? Well, a great place to come learn is in my Facebook group. It's called Stay at Home Moms Selling on eBay. And we're not just moms anymore, we're everybody from all walks of life from all over the world. Every Monday we have a thread that where you can post your sales for the previous week. And we got kind of tired of all these haul videos and people showing what they bought to sell, and they all have great intentions, but the proof is in the pudding and the proof is in the sales. So on this thread you post what you sold, either a screenshot of your listing or a link to it, what you paid for it, and where you got it. So we're helping educate each other on what sells. So there is just all kinds of stuff in here every week. It's just amazing the stuff you can sell, and this is how you learn, is from each other, sharing information. There's all kind of classes and ebooks and stuff you can buy to learn, and that's great. But the problem with that, and coming from someone who's created classes and ebooks and all that stuff you can buy, this changes so rapidly, what sells and what doesn't sell. And something that was a great seller 2 years ago may not sell at all now. For example, like Crocs. Those shoes, you could used to get a lot of money for them. Now they're an okay sale, but when they were first, new on the scene, you could get a lot more money. So this helps you keep your fingers on the pulse of what's going on, what's selling, what are people finding. They'll give some tips about keywords they used, or any other helpful information, but you can see what people are finding, what they're selling, how they're pricing it. This person here actually watched one of my videos and found this item at Goodwill, and for $5, and she sold it for $30. So not huge money, but Michelle actually put this information into practice. So you can learn all kind of stuff in this thread, and there's usually anywhere between 150 and 200 comments. So you can. This is how I learn. I watch what other people are doing. I don't always comment, but you can learn so much just by looking at what people are doing, and all the crazy stuff they're selling, things that you might not even think of, or you might see something and say, oh, I have one of those in my attic. Go get it out and sell it. So this just goes on and on, people posting their sales. It's a great place to learn. So come on over and join us if you're not already a member. Okay, so that is it on Bruno Magli shoes, and I hope you find some. If you do, let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a great day on eBay. Bye.